Thank the gentleman very much. The distinguished gentleman from Florida, Mr. Frost, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with the comments we just heard from my colleague, Representative Burchett. And hopefully, as years go on and more people come to the institution, we actually get the guts to deal with this waste, fraud, and abuse in the DoD and with our military contractors that, yes, are stealing from us. And I think it's despicable that so much of our taxpayer money goes to these companies. And yet, I'll tell you one place I was last week. I was on the picket line with the UAW in my district in front of Lockheed Martin because they're not paying the assembly line workers and the people creating all this stuff enough money to be able to pay their damn rent in Orlando. Mr. Mayo, but before we can even talk about having the courage at some, time and place we're unsure of, we got to talk about what's going on right now. Mr. Mayo, this past week, the Pentagon announced that Doge had been authorized to review most unclassified Pentagon contracts to root out inefficiency. Is Doge answering to you or the DoD IG in this effort?
We haven't talked to Doge at all.
You haven't spoken with Doge at all?
No, they've not.
When was your office consulted about Doge's input into the contract review process?
I can't answer that, sir. I don't know.
You don't know? Because to me, if your job is to find waste, fraud, and abuse, and then you have Doge, which is supposedly supposed to be looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, would you agree that the only efficient way to go about that would be to work together?
Yes, sir. Perhaps.
In the contract review process run by the DoD IG, how would you typically prevent political interference?
Please restate that.
In the contract review process that the IG's office runs in DoD, how do you typically go about preventing political interference?
I have no answer for that because that's not part of what we do, but I can certainly get back to you on that and get some.
So do you have any idea of how your office is ensuring that Doge has the strongest controls possible to prevent this kind of abuse that we're talking about?
Well, Doge, I don't know because Doge hasn't come to the OIG at this point. We have not seen anybody from Doge.
Yeah, I mean, under Doge, it feels like efficiency and anti-fraud have been actively defunded, deregulated, dismantled, and disregarded. And this is part of the problem is we can sit up here and talk about working in a bipartisan way all we want, and I think that's really important. In fact, the chair of the committee, Comer, said during his comments, quote, DOD is the poster child for waste, fraud, and abuse, but voted yes on a budget that would give the Department of Defense more money than they've ever had, over $1 trillion. So, and then on the other hand, they talk about waste, fraud, and abuse in food assistance, in Medicaid, and slash that to the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars. That means they're taking more of an aggressive approach on working families and people who depend on some of these services for their health care and to feed their children than they will with the military contractors. That's why, and to, Burchett's being really nice about it, but that's part of the reason why we're not going to handle this. We can sit up here and talk to you all day. The fact of the matter is right in front of us, the majority is moving through a budget that would give the Department of Defense the most money they've ever had, while they are, quote unquote, the poster child for waste, fraud, and abuse. Americans need to know which Pentagon dollars are going to service members and national defense and which are lining the pockets of unethical contractors, over 50% of the DoD budget. According to the recent GAO testimony before this committee, the DoD thinks there's very little fraud in their procurement. Mr. Bagdoyan, do you agree with the DoD's assessment?
I do not.
And Mr. Mayo, do you agree with the DoD's assessment that there's little fraud?
I do not.
From where you sit, have the Doge staff firings and reduction of resources from the IG's office to other offices, has this helped you investigate fraud cases?
No.
Does it hurt?
I think we're doing the same thing we've always done.
So
We continue to just run cases, run investigations like we've done, and we just do what we're supposed to do. And I don't think it's impacted us as an investigative agency.
All right, thank you. I've been watching the limited progress towards getting DoD to be able to pass a financial audit The Marine Corps recently explained that the personnel cuts will likely erase the progress they've made when last year they became the first of our service branches to be able to pass a financial audit. I don't know what the path we're on is right now. I think it's hurting these efforts. My hope is that we'll be able to take this seriously moving ahead and not just put it in our sites, food assistance and Medicaid, when it comes to cutting budgets because of perceived waste, fraud, and abuse, but look at the biggest budget item that we have and the poster child of waste, fraud, and abuse, as said by our chairman of the full committee, the Department of Defense. Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time. Thank you very much.